Imagine you're deep in a frozen wilderness, wind howling, snow biting, and your only shelter is a tent. Now imagine something so terrifying that you'd rather run half-dressed into a deadly blizzard than stay inside. This isn't fiction. In 1959, 9 expert hikers vanished on Russia's Kolotsiakl, Dead Mountain. They left behind a slashed tent, scattered bodies, and a mystery that's haunted the world for over 60 years. These weren't amateurs. They were seasoned, prepared, and knew the rules of survival. Yet, something shattered their logic and drove them into the night. The evidence: a tent cut open from the inside, bodies strewn across the snow, and injuries that defy explanation. What could have terrified them so completely? The Dyatlov Pass incident is more than a tragedy, it's a chilling reminder that some places keep their secrets. As we dig into this cold case, we face theories from secret weapons to ancient legends, but no answer fits all the facts. The mountain stands silent, a monument to 9 lost souls and a terror we still can't name. In the wild, your shelter is your lifeline. These hikers abandoned theirs. Why? That's the question that echoes through the years. The silence of that slope is filled with the unanswered. What happened on that final horrifying night? What force broke their will to survive? The Dyatlov Pass remains a puzzle, sealed in ice, daring us to solve it. To understand the mystery, you have to know the people. This was a team of skilled, passionate adventurers, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They were aiming for the highest hiking certification in the Soviet Union, a Category 3 trek across brutal winter terrain. Igor Dyatlov, their leader, was meticulous and respected, not one to take foolish risks. The group included engineers, athletes, and veterans, each with a unique strength. They trusted each other with their lives, and their journals show laughter, teamwork, and confidence. Yuri Yudin, the 10th member, turned back early due to illness, a decision that saved his life. The rest pressed on, fully aware of the dangers, but prepared to meet them. Their camaraderie and skill make their fate even more baffling. Something on that mountain was stronger than their experience and will to survive. Their final actions defied logic, as if an unseen force turned them against their own instincts. This was no ordinary group, and this was no ordinary tragedy. The Dyatlov team was a family, broken by something no one could have predicted. What could have shattered such unity? The journey began on January 23, 1959. The group left civilization behind, spirits high, eager for adventure. On January 27th, they skied into the wilderness. Yuri Yudin turned back, leaving 9 to continue. They followed a traditional Mansi route, documenting their trek with photos and diary entries. The landscape was harsh. Temperatures plunged, snow deepened, but they pressed on. Their leader, Dyatlov, navigated them toward Otorten Mountain, whose name means, "Don't go there." By February 1st, they reached Kolotsiakl, Dead Mountain. A storm was brewing, visibility dropping. Instead of retreating to the tree line for shelter, they set up camp on the exposed slope. It was a decision that would become infamous. The last photos show them smiling, unaware of what was coming. They were well-equipped, experienced, and united. But the mountain had other plans. That night, everything changed. The final camp was set, on the edge of disaster. Camping on the open slope defied standard protocol. The tree line was safer, but they stayed exposed, perhaps to practice or because of the storm. As night fell, temperatures plummeted to -30. Inside the tent, their last diary entry was calm, no hint of fear. But something happened in the darkness. The tent was slashed open from the inside. The hikers fled half-dressed into the blizzard. They left behind boots, coats, and all hope of survival. Their tracks showed an orderly retreat at first, not panic. What could drive such a desperate, irrational flight? The answer remains buried in the snow. That night, logic and training were no match for terror. When the hikers missed their check-in, families grew anxious. A search party found the tent on February 26th, half-buried, slashed open, and eerily empty. Inside, everything was in order, boots lined up, food untouched, journals left behind. Nothing was stolen, it was as if they'd vanished mid-routine. Outside, barefoot tracks led calmly down the slope toward the forest. No signs of struggle, no animal tracks, no evidence of outsiders. The tracks faded after 500 meters, swallowed by snow. The scene was a paradox: violent exit, orderly retreat, abandoned gear. Why walk into certain death, leaving everything behind? The searchers, experienced themselves, were baffled. the camp was silent, a crime against logic. The rules of survival had been broken for reasons no one could comprehend. The mountain offered no answers, only more questions. The mystery deepened with every clue. The searchers followed the tracks to the forest where they found a small fire and 2 bodies, stripped to their underwear, hands burned, branches broken high in a cedar tree. Between the tree and the tent, 3 more bodies, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, better dressed but still unprotected, all dead of hypothermia. It looked as if they'd tried to return to the tent, crawling through the snow. Months later, the last 4 hikers were found in a ravine, buried under deep snow. They were better dressed, some wearing clothes taken from the dead. They'd built a snow den, a final attempt to survive. But their injuries would shock investigators. The group had split apart, 2 by the fire, 3 between the camp and forest, 4 in the ravine. Their final moments were desperate, confused, and scattered. They fought to survive, but their initial flight doomed them. All 9 were found, but the real horror was just beginning. The condition of the last 4 bodies would change everything. The mystery was far from over. The first 5 hikers died of hypothermia, tragic but explainable. But the last 4, found in the ravine, had injuries that defied logic. Dubinina and Zolotaryov's chests were crushed with force like a car crash, yet no external wounds. Thibaut Brignolet had a massive skull fracture, again with no visible trauma. Some bodies were missing eyes, a tongue, and eyebrows, possibly from decomposition, but the precision was unsettling. The coroner ruled out murder by human hands. The force was too great. No evidence of a fight, no animal tracks, no clear cause. The official report, death by an unknown compelling force. The injuries were beyond anything seen in normal accidents. The hikers hadn't just frozen, they'd encountered something powerful and inexplicable. The mystery deepened. What could cause such trauma without a trace? The Dyatlov Pass incident had crossed into the realm of the unexplainable. The world was left with more questions than answers. The investigation ended quickly, the files classified, the cause listed as a compelling natural force. Theories exploded, avalanche, military tests, infrasound, even the Yeti. Avalanche, no evidence, tent wasn't buried, tracks remained, slope too gentle. Military test? The area was used for weapons and some clothing had traces of radiation, but no records of tests that night. Infrasound? The mountain's winds could have created low-frequency waves, causing panic and irrational fear. Folklore? Some locals blamed the Menk, a Siberian Yeti, but there were no non-human tracks. Each theory explains some facts, but none explain everything. Why the orderly retreat? Why the bizarre injuries? Why the missing body parts? The official silence only fueled speculation. The truth was buried with the hikers, and maybe intentionally by those in power. The Dyatlov Pass remains a riddle, unsolved and haunting. Every answer leads to more questions, the mountain keeps its secrets, and the world keeps searching for the truth. The Dyatlov Pass incident is a wound that never healed. Soviet secrecy and missing files only deepened the mystery. The last photo, a blurry shape, the final diary entry, a cryptic joke about snowmen. Were they just joking, or did they see something? These were experts, not novices. For them to abandon shelter defies all logic. Something overpowered their training and instincts. The pass is now a place of pilgrimage, thick with unanswered questions. The story endures because it taps into our deepest fears. The unknown, the uncontrollable, the unfathomable. We're left where the searchers stood, before a silent snow-covered tent asking, what did they see? What terror drove them into the night? The mountain's answer is silence and the mystery endures.